So we're going to jump back into Peter Sewell's evidence to the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, and over a year after Fujitsu first internally raised concerns about the integrity of the Horizon audit process, and these concerns seem to grow over time. They say that the process is error prone. They've recently said in a PowerPoint that the tactical process to have a workaround is too manual, too costly, and too error prone. They've turned around and said the witness statements are now inaccurate, both past and current, and they finally decide to communicate that to the post office. But it seems like the concerns with Horizon are massively downplayed. They don't say that they fear that these issues are endemic in the EPOS system, in the Horizon system being used at the post office branches, but instead just communicate a single isolated incident that resulted in an incorrect shortfall at one branch, which they now assure the post office has been fixed. Peter Sewell's asked whether he would do whether he saw it as an important part of his job to defend the reputation of Fujitsu, which he denies. But an interesting email relating to Lee Castleton certainly seems to put a different complexion on that. What does he have to say about it? Let's jump into the inquiry.
Can we please look at FUJ 001555389? This is an email from Penny Thomas to you and others. She says, Anne's comments need to be part of our discussion tomorrow. And that's comments of Anne Chambers. And if we scroll down, we can see subject, new witness statement request support. And Anne Chambers has provided some comments to Penny Thomas and to Gareth Jenkins, which are forwarded to you and others. She says as follows. She says, when such long periods are covered, especially at branches with many counters, there are almost certainly going to be some events which look alarming, but are, as far as I'm concerned, not particularly unusual over the estate as a whole. We wouldn't normally investigate them unless there were some grounds for thinking they had caused a problem, maybe because the postmaster queried something or something showed up on the reconciliation stream. Just pausing there, knowing that there was an issue that wouldn't be recognised by the sub-postmaster because there wasn't an error message coming up on their screen. Do you think that it is sufficient to rely on the postmaster to have identified a problem?
Not necessarily, if he didn't know about it.
Yes. And she continues to say, trying to justify and assess them so long afterwards without knowing what the problem was is not feasible.
Well, that's a problem of their own making, isn't it? Because the sub-postmaster can't alert you to something they're not aware of. And if you can't diagnose a problem in your own system, we've got big problems.
While I'm happy to help out with this in the short term, I think I'm being pulled much further into this than I should be. So someone's going to have to work out what security's approach to this is. In the meantime, perhaps we should just continue to check the lock events, since those are the ones which need to have been proved to be associated with a financial problem in a handful of cases. Were you aware of concerns on the part of Anne Chambers in respect of what was being asked of her?
I wasn't aware of this email, no.
No. I mean, it was sent to you if we look at the top.
For someone that says they pretty much exclusively spent the time listening to people, he doesn't seem to have taken much action. Fair enough if he doesn't remember now. It's 2024 when he's speaking about this. This is back in 2008. But surely at the time he's reading the emails that are coming in if he's listening to people.
Anne's comments need to be part of our discussion tomorrow. Do you recall any significant discussion?
I don't. But there are a number of names on there.
Can we look at FUJ 001553998? Sorry, it's 394. FUJ 001553994. And it's the first page. And it says as follows, it's from yourself to who's David Hind?
I don't remember.
David, the slides were presented to Steve Denham on behalf of Wendy Wednesday afternoon. He's now aware of the problem and is going to talk with legal. In the meantime, we will be progressing with the change proposal. So it seems as though Wendy wasn't available or didn't attend. Did you recall what happened?
No.
No? No. And Steve Denham received that PowerPoint presentation.
It looks like it. I think he was the Customer Services Director.
Thank you. Can we please look now at FUJ 001553999. I'm just going to take you to two documents before we break for lunch. We'll go shortly after lunch, but not too much over.
Okay.
We're now in January of 2009, and Wendy Wareham sends a message. If we look at the top email from Penny Thomas to Dave Posnett, she says, "Please find attached notes sent by my senior management this morning. We need to discuss urgently." And if we scroll down, we can see that note. This is a note being sent from Wendy Wareham to people at the post office, so to counterparts at the post office. Are you aware of any of those names at all?
Yes.
Yes. Penny Thomas appears to be concerned by the contents of this. She says as follows: "Sue, I've left you a voicemail as I need to update you on a recent issue that has occurred and been resolved, but does have some short-term impacts. In summary, the issue is as follows. In December 2007, an occurrence was reported in one office where a stock unit rollover coincided with the end-of-day process running. This led to a previously unseen database lock where an administrative balancing transaction failed to be written to the local message store database. This generated a generic and non-specific software error event, which went unnoticed in the monitoring of events. A financial imbalance was evident and was subject to investigation by Fujitsu's Service Support Centre and Post Office Limited. The financial imbalance has been resolved. A software correction was applied across the estate in early November 2008 to ensure that any such event generated would be monitored. Testing of that correction has established that the unmonitored error does not occur elsewhere in the system." So just pausing there, this seems to be a senior level email from Fujitsu to the post office informing them of the problem that we've been looking at for much of today.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
That's taken on an inordinate amount of time, doesn't it? I mean, it says it, and financial imbalance was evident and was subject to investigation by the SSC and Post Office Limited, so presumably they were told about it at some level in December 2007, but certainly by January 2009, the issue is being raised in this email to them to say we've got a problem here and it's a bit historic and we need to sort these things out.
The event occurred in December 2007, but it's taken until the 7th of January 2009 to provide that high-level confirmation. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
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 Impact, we need to work with the post office to recheck the ARQs and reconfirm the data integrity during the period of May 2007 to November 2008.
So that's the original period that they mentioned. They initially suggested going back through all the data they had back to 2003, which could have uncovered some problems with the cases before, but they seem to have been fixated from a very early stage. Almost 2 days after that was proposed, I think there was a following meeting saying, no, that's going to take too long, let's restrain our time period, and it seems to have continued throughout the preceding years after that.
Penny will do this. So now we're looking at a much shorter period. I think we discussed this earlier today. We were originally looking at a review of 5.5 years worth of data, but by this stage it seemed as though the period for checking was just May 2007 to November 2008.
Yes.
Yes. We need to discuss how we disclose the issue on witness statements, and we have some words which may be appropriate. Both need to discuss and agree the words. Identify which witness statement we have supplied and are still awaiting court to confirm whether or not the data provided was May 2007 to November 2008. To A, ensure events have been checked, and B, to recall and replace witness statements. And it says Pol/Penny, so the post office or Penny seems to be tasked with that particular
Yes,
task.
I think work together on it, yes.
Further action, automate the message store alerts on the system so that no manual intervention is required. A change proposal has been raised for this work. Education to ensure this type of incident is raised as a major incident in the security stack so that we can communicate and manage this in accordance with incident timescales. Apologies that this has not been communicated earlier, but the review of security incidents should improve this issue.
So that sounds like, even though they say Post Office Limited and Fujitsu SSC investigated when they noticed this in December 2007. That bottom line would imply that this is the first time it's being communicated to Post Office, so it feels a bit of a contradictory statement there.
The impression that's given by this email is very much that it was a once-off incident from 2007. Would you agree with that?
I would, yes.
Yes. There's no mention of, for example, Gerald Barnes's concerns we saw in that peak of wider problems with the coding, for example.
Yeah, I don't understand Gerald Barnes's level of detail.
No, but there is no mention in this notification of wider concerns of issues that may affect sub-postmasters without the sub-postmasters realising, for example.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think Wendy's talking about this particular issue.
Indeed, it seems like there is. I mean, not only has it taken over a year to communicate the issue to the Post Office, seemingly, it seems to have been massively downplayed compared to the internal conversations that they were having.
Focusing on the 2007 incident,
Yes, sir.
There's no mention of the kinds of wider concerns that we have been discussing today.
Not in this, no.
No. Why did Fujitsu hang on to it from 2007 to 2009 before having this high-level discussion with the Post Office?
I think there was a fair period of time when nobody actually knew what the problem was, and it took a fair bit of investigation to find it.
And was it standard for Fujitsu to wait until they had worked out and come up with a solution to notify the Post Office rather than keeping the Post Office abreast of what was going on throughout?
In this case, yes, this is what happened.
Did you personally see it as important to protect the name of Fujitsu?
Not really. I think it was more concerned to find out what the problem was.
But your general approach to your work, did you see it as important to your work to protect the name of Fujitsu?
To protect the ARQ service.
Not protect Fujitsu's overall reputation?
I think it was more to find out what the problem was with the ARQ.
But my question is, did you see it as important to your work to protect the name of Fujitsu?
I guess I did, but not purposely.
Well, I mean, it would be natural to do so, to try to... I mean, it depends how you go around protecting the name of the company that you work for. If you're protecting it through unethical means or through things that, that's not right, which is what the Post Office has been accused of, then that's obviously wrong. But you can also protect a brand by actually, being honest, being transparent, holding your hands up, admitting when you got things wrong and putting forward solutions to getting things right, and that's what should happen.
Not
Purposely trying to protect Fujitsu's name.
What do you mean by that?
I was really concerned with finding out where the error was and what it was and how we correct it.
So it would be unfair to describe you as somebody who saw protecting Fujitsu as an important part of their job.
We all protect our own companies, yes.
One final document before the break. If we go to FUJ 001 54750, we're going back in time now to 2006, but this is an email from yourself to Andy Dunks.
Yep.
And it relates to the Lee Castleton trial. That's
Yep.
a case that we've seen a lot of in this inquiry. See you in court then. Fetters Lane is where they used to hang people out to dry. I don't suppose that type of thing happens anymore, though. That Castleton is a nasty chap and will be out to rubbish the Fujitsu name. It's up to you to maintain absolute strength and integrity, no matter what the prosecution will throw at you. We will be behind you, hoping you come through unscathed. Bless you. Is that typical of your approach to the work that you were doing?
No. I don't know why that was written.
Does that help explain some of the work that we've seen today?
Don't know why it was written.
Well, I mean, it feels like on reflection he's thinking, I shouldn't have wrote that, but is it an interesting insight into what was happening in his mind at the time?
I don't remember writing it, but obviously I did. But certainly don't understand it.
So might that be an appropriate moment to break for lunch? I don't have that many questions. I would say 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. There will be some questions from core participants. The next witness won't be longer than 1 hour, I'm told, so we will finish comfortably today.
All right, very good. So we'll begin again at, what, 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you very much.